Hello, beautiful woman. I wanted to shoot this video specifically for the women who are thinking about doing energy weaving, who are coming to train with me, who have been collecting certifications upon certification, who have done all sorts of different certifications and energy work over the years, perhaps decades. Some of us collect certifications like others collect shoes. I understand that. And you may well be wondering, is this just another one of those, right? And I want to address that, and I want to talk about it specifically. Hopefully you've seen the videos where I've talked about weaving and outcomes and what it does and etc. But I want to talk a little bit more specifically for you guys, right? And I'm just shooting this informally on my phone. I don't even have a tripod. I apologize, but it's human and it's real. At least you know it's not AI. Okay, so here's what I want to talk about. Energy weaving is a practice, it's a discipline, I guess, that first of all starts with where you are at. It's because it works with your energy body, it works with your energetic system, okay? It works with your level of evolution, your soul gifts that are meant to expand, open up, grow, deepen, whichever direction, right? So your starting point actually doesn't matter for the weaver, right? Because you're working with your own system primarily. Okay, so the second thing I want to say is I'm going to have to edit this now. That's a bummer, but maybe I won't and you'll see this. Okay, the next thing I wanted to say is weaving is the foundational system or discipline that sits under all metaphysical craft, right? It rewires your energetic system. It optimizes your energy body. It shifts your capacity. It grows your capacity to work with more potent energies at higher frequencies comfortably, without backlash, without burnout, without wobble, right? It reworks the way your energy body has energy flowing through it, right? It creates a fluidic system, a high-speed fluidic system, right? And so that changes everything, right? Everything you build on top of that means your energy body is functioning differently. It's trained differently. It's optimized differently, okay? You're also going to learn to work with not just what's floating around you. You're going to cultivate very specific energies attuned very precisely to the work that you want to do. And you can stockpile that. Every time you weave, you're going to stockpile huge amounts of animus. We call it animus. You might call it life force. You might call it creative substance into your system, into your energy body, into your cells. This is available then later on command, right? I teach you how to re-invoke it whenever you need it, whenever you want it. Between that and the slipstream or the fluidic nature, the high-speed fluidity that we put through your energy body, which we rebalance, by the way, we'll talk about that in a minute, means that you can expect to work with all of your modality, all of your metaphysical craft at a new level, right? I have seen this time and time and time again. Hundreds of people have become weavers over the last 8 years, right? So I know, right, that you will expect different depths of your already existing skill sets and new skill sets coming online, right? Because we're rewiring, we're changing. It also means that you will just have a different operating system and a different level of fuel to work with on top, right? Of whatever you're putting on top of it, that's what's underneath it. And that is what weaving is working with. It's that foundational system underneath, right? So it's not like you're gonna learn Reiki or you're gonna learn another energetic healing method or a new manifestation process or whatever it is that you're working with, right? Or a new method of channeling, all of those sorts of things, right? Weaving sits under that. It cultivates a higher depth of potency in all of that, right? It changes the way you experience energy. So let's talk about that, right? Because you have probably worked with energy for a while, years, possibly decades, right? And if you're like me and you started training properly in the 90s, right? Most of us like have been energetically aware and sensitive all our lives, like that's who we were as children, right? But we started training in the 90s and into the 2000s, etc. Back then, we touched on the body a little bit, but we mostly learned to interface and work with energy via the mental models through the mind, right? And the mind energy connection is the most complex. It's the hardest. It's the busiest, right? And it's actually not the most direct, right? Energy, life force, animals, enters through our body, through our central core, our pranic tube, right? It enters in and it intimately connects first and foremost with our physical body, right? It comes into contact straight away with our soma and from our soma, our nervous system. You probably know that energy has two predominant bodies of principles that it works with, the electrical and the magnetic, right? So it moves through our system via the energy body and the energetic systems, right? And you may well be very familiar with those. It also moves through our bioelectrical systems, right? From our cellular system all the way through to our nervous system, which runs electrical impulses, and it moves through our fascia, okay? So the energy interacts with our body, and if we can work with it at that level, at a felt somatic level, that is more direct, right? And then the mind interprets the signals of the soma and the nervous system to understand, and it relays that back. Like it's just an extra level of Chinese whispers energetically, right? And we don't need that, right? When we weave, we work somatically in the body. Now the mind follows along, not gonna lie, the mind will be having all sorts of epiphanies and all sorts of downloads and insights, and it'll be magical, right? But the mind is following, right? And you now have, as a weaver, a felt, tangible, somatic knowing of energy in your body. When you raise it, when you drop it, when you move it, and it moves up and it float, you'll feel it all the way through your body, okay? So it's a different level of working with energy, okay? So that would probably be new. There is not too many people. There's a few. I once taught someone who is very highly advanced in some of the advanced Eastern esoteric stuff, and they had done some work like that, but it's actually very, very rare, okay, in the Western world that we have training in that level, right, at the somatic, at the level of the soma. Okay, so that's one big difference, and that does change a huge amount, okay? So you'll also be able to direct it as a result through a whole different pathways, different ways, okay? Now, another really big thing is because we're moving the energy, we're weaving it through our bodies, around our bodies, in cast space, we can do all sorts of stuff with it. We can get to the application later, right? But before we even get to what do we do with this amazing energy that we can now direct with fluency, and we can build with huge amounts of potency, and we can craft it with very specific qualities, which I'll talk about in a second, right? But even before we work out what we do with all of that, the fact that we are weaving it through our system, which, as I've mentioned, rewires, rebalances our system, it shifts things, right? It also creates a huge amount of fluidity, and fluidity is central. It is key. We want energy to move as fluidly, as smoothly through the body as possible, right? We want to be the empty vessel, the conduit, right? We don't want a whole heap of unbalanced or clogged, gunky channels or systems that aren't actually in full operation from the base to the end, right? And that's super common if you have been trained for many decades in the mental approaches, right? And you were trained to move from the heart and the third eye and the crown primarily, like obviously all the chakras, right? But we're focused a lot on those. Then you end up with your chakras very active in your upper chakras, okay? I'd call you guys my upper chakra girls. You're extremely sensitive, you have lots of empathy, very empathic. You have, you're often really good channels. You probably have your clairs dialed in, at least some of them, right? Because you've trained all of this upper half, okay? But another thing that you've done is you haven't cultivated the full fluidic flow through your body with balance, with ground, and you can end up pushed up into your upper chakras. And when you do that, you keep those activated. When they're activated, that's how the energy is going to flow in your body and like condense in those places in your body. And you've probably done that really specifically, but it also pushes up the yang energy in your body, rises, and when it pushes it up into your upper chakras, it activates your nervous system, okay? Your energetic body and your nervous system are side by side, peanut butter and jelly, right? Like they're very interconnected. You cannot work with energy without influencing or affecting the nervous system, and vice versa, okay? They go together. And so if you keep your energy moved up in your upper chakras, you actually keep your nervous system activated up into some sympathetic system. You're just more prone to having a higher sympathetic baseline. What does that mean? You're more likely to get overwhelmed in big energetic situations, chaotic situations. You're more likely to be prone to anxiety of some form or stress, right? You'll be the one that's like, oh, that's right, I've always got to ground, I've got to earth, I've got to ground, right? I understand that. I've been there, right? But that is because you're not actually operating from the empowered position, right? The power position in the body, in the first cauldron, right? And when we weave, we reorientate you and we bring your whole energetic system back into its correct alignment, moving from its correct power centers back inside instead of projected up or out of your body, right? And then we build the capacity from there. If you build your capacity not from that place, you just continue to compound and expand the I'm out of center, right? Which is not what you want. We want to build your capacity to hold and work with energies, to work more powerfully, more potently, all the rest of it, to work with higher frequencies. You want to do that from a correct aligned power position, not out of your body or up in your upper chakras or all like out of whack, okay? So all of those things we're going to correct in weaving, okay? And it just resets how you get to work with energy big time, big time. It is very grounding. It is extremely powerful, right? There is no burnout. There is no this backlash burnout thing, right? Like I think that's maybe it's an old paradigm truth because we didn't train correctly, right? But in weaving, that is not a thing, right? You will feel more energized the more powerful the work it is. You'll be vibrating with it, okay? And then we ground it and we make sure it's earthed and we stockpile it properly and we build your capacity so you're not vibrating like out, like uncomfortably. But the point is, you're working differently. Okay, I think enough said on that. But I want to explain that all of this energetic flow and the way we redistribute things changes so much, okay? It also means that even now, you, my love, like me, like all of us, none of us get out of ascension. None of us are immune to it, right? Doesn't matter how long we've been doing our work. We are in a process of evolutionary acceleration, right? On the planet and within ourselves. And that's the same for you. Your gifts are going next level. You may be on that front wave because you've got a bit of a head start, but you are 100% in evolutionary flux. And with that means more things rising, right? More clearing. It's going to hopefully be easier. Right? And weaving is actually the fluidic flow, means that we move stuckness out of the energetic centers. We move it out of the soma. And we do it without re-traumatizing, right? We do it bypassing most of the story, okay? And I say that with a little bit of like qualification here, because I am trained as a trauma therapist, and this is not what this is about, but I do want to preface that there is a time and a place where we need to do a deeper dive depending on what's going on. But I have also seen so many things over the years release for people, and they're just like, that actually felt joyful, and it just never came back. Like, and I check in months later, nope, I just seem to be past that, right? Because they weave it right out of their systems. They let it flow and move, and they consciously work it out of their systems somatically, okay? There's a lot that could be said about that, but I won't go into that. So that is available for you too. If you feel like, I feel like this is going to be you, right? Because it's definitely me, and it's lots of my long-time students, right? You already know I am mid-evolution. I can already feel the next thing coming, unfurling. I can't quite grasp it yet. It's like trying to remember a dream. Like you know it's there, and you are ready, right? You're like, I already know I'm midway. I want to start now working with it properly. I want to start experiencing it, okay? Then this year, this accelerated decade, right? But this period right now, even more so, is amazingly powerful right now, okay? And weaving is an accelerator of your energy body, of your evolution, of your new gifts, of the way you work with, and I've talked about all that, right? But the point is, this is a tool to use to really gracefully expand, okay? And I want to clarify this a little bit too, because if you are not in a great fluid position, if you haven't built capacity, if you're not really grounded in your cauldron, which we can talk about if you come into weaving, right? And if you're kind of like outside of yourself a little bit, if you haven't started to really grow a strong, energetic, sovereign core, and your sensing skills are still getting higher, you're still getting more and more sensitive to energy, right? Then all of those things can actually, under the current ascensional energies, mean that you feel more like, your toolkit doesn't work the way it used to. Sorry, the sun's there. Maybe I'll try to sit here. Your toolkit's not quite cutting it like it used to. And you're like, why? What's going on? I don't understand, okay? Or you could be more prone to feeling the ascensional roller coaster a little bit more strongly at times, right? And hopefully you're not feeling it as intensely as some of the planet is right now. But the point is, you could still be experiencing big roller coasters, okay? The juxtaposition between expansion and contraction, right? Like, oh my gosh, I'm expanded. I feel like I'm getting there, and new gifts and I feel them. I'm experiencing little snippets of them, and then contraction, and like, oh my God, I need to retreat from the world. I'm getting overwhelmed. I'm so freaking sensitive all of a sudden. My body's not coping, whatever it is, okay? All of that roller coastering, right? We want to smooth that out. And when we weave with energy, especially when we choose to weave with ascensional energy intentionally, right? Proactively, not reactive, I'm just along for the ride trying not to drown, right? But when we choose, because we have the capacity, we have the system ready for it, to bring in that ascensional energy and weave it through our body and attune our inner energetic systems, which is still running on the old operating system for the most part, right? The old energies of the old paradigm. And we intentionally instead sync them to the new energies. We minimize that roller coaster. Okay? And often from externally, it looks like just this long, slow expansion. Because instead of these, whoa, like this month's great, this month's not so great, or this 6 months is awesome, this one isn't, right? We start to get this, right? And we know how to regulate the flow of energy through our body and work with it both in expansion and contraction. Okay, that's all happening in the weave. And we know how to recognize essential energies in our body, and we know how to work with them. And we also know how to discharge them when we need to, and recenter, right? And work with a different stabilizing energy. And often we'll work in weaving with Earth, right? Because Mother Earth is also doing her own ascensional evolutionary surge, right? And she's a great stabilizing force to attune to right now, okay? Okay, so all that to say, we can do a lot of work now, right? That we don't just, we're not, I would say that everyone is ready for the next leap for their energy bodies, so that their next leap in purpose, in metaphysical craft, and whatever it is for you, right? Your creativity, all of those things can be held in your body comfortably, right? I know that you know it's there, that you sense it, and it's just not quite anchored and grounding enough yet. Let's fix that. Let's change that, okay? Because you're needed right now, right? Definitely. Okay, I am looking at my notes because I'm like, quick, what else do I need to say before I make this way too long? Have I taught about stockpiling energy yet? Okay, so you don't need to just work with what's floating around you, right? Now, if I drop the veil, we call it dropping the veil, but if I let my permeability increase and I drop my edges and I shifted my awareness to drop the energetic into the energy of the landscape around me, right? So I dropped form, my form, landscape form, and everything just became an energy quantum experience, right? Which I can do it well, and you'll be able to too, right? But if I did that and I went, okay, this has actually got beautiful energies here this afternoon, I'm going to work with it, right? But I had to come here to do that. And then I had to find the energy that would work. And then I just have to use what's floating around me. As an energy weaver, you will learn how to invoke specifically on command the energies you want to work with. You will be able to actually create extremely bespoke, potent blends, stacking of energetic frequencies to make a flavored fuel source for whatever you're doing. Be that healing, be that creating and manifesting, be that like channeling, be that creative work. I do that when I paint, right? So it doesn't really matter, but the point is that you can specifically craft and attune and blend energies together. It's all innate. We do that in the weaving, right? Then you can weave it. And as you weave it, depending on what techniques you're using in the weave, right? Because there's different techniques for different things, right? But in this example, we're doing generative weaving, right? We have slow flow weaving and we have generative weaving. In generative weaving, you're using the generative weaving techniques. You're going to take that energy that it might feel small in your body, but it's there. And as you weave it, you're going to build it. It's going to grow, and it is going to grow a lot, and it's going to feel joyous and ecstatic and blissful to do that, right? It's going to feel amazing, okay? I mean, of course, it depends what blends you're bringing into your body, but I'm going to assume you're bringing in new earth, high divine qualities and energies into your body, right? So it's going to feel amazing, and it's going to grow, and it's going to build, it's going to amplify. And there'll be some weaves in a high generative weave, and we call them a power weave, right? High magic weave. You will have so much energy, you can't actually even use it all. You can't even hold it all in your body. You're just going to let some of it dissipate, right? You're going to feel like, a common thing is I was vibrating with it. Like I felt all my cellular system just vibrating with it. Yeah. Okay. Now, as your capacity grows and we build that in the weave over the weeks, you can hold more and more of that comfortably. And the rest you can just discharge. You can just release your suckle and just let it dissipate if you want. You don't have to, right? But if you want to, you can also take that and stockpile it. I'll teach you how to stockpile it into your energy body, into your cellular structure, right? i.e., you will be holding more light, more higher frequency energies in your body. Okay, that will shift your potency. That will shift the fields of the energetic fields around your body. Okay, and I've seen this, right? I have seen this happen so many times. I do this all the time, and people respond to you differently, right? And then you'll have this potency in you, and you'll be able to invoke it and use it out of the weave when you want to, with what you want to do, right? So sometimes healers, like when they first weave, they go, oh my God, I have so much energy, I have so much power, I have to weave before every client session. And for a while, they like want to weave before every client session because they just want to, that energy is there. But over time, I'm teaching you, but over time you get more confident in this, to stockpile it, and then re-invoke it later on command. Okay, so you can build the fuel sources that you innately are working with in your body. You can attune them very specifically. You can, if you work already with different angelic forces or different light councils or whatever, you can attune your fuel sources with them, to them, right? So there's a lot of customization in here for you. But the point is, you are definitely not working with just what's floating around you in the room. Okay? And heaven forbid that you would be using your own innate energetic system, right? We don't do that. That would be depleting, and I would not recommend that. But I'm going to assume the audience that I'm talking to here would know that. Okay? But the point is, we can work with a lot of more potent fuel, and that means that you will be able to express your gifts at their highest or their fullest potential, rather than being limited by a reduced fuel source, because you're probably using a fraction of the energy or the fuel that you will feel in your body when you weave. Okay, so that's stockpiling, that's blending, consciously working with different energies, right? I think I'm probably there. I could probably talk a lot longer, but it's already longer than I wanted it to be. So if you have more questions, like if I did not hit a question that you want answered, please ask me. Like, seriously, email me. That's the best way, okay? Not gonna lie. But like, any way that you feel inspired to reach out to me, I promise you, I will get back to you. I will answer your questions. And if you are feeling called, if there is a part of you that feels drawn to weaving, and it's probably a part of you that feels like your intuitive self, that feels like the mystic in you, right? That feels like there's this evocative pull, because I hear this all the time over the years, right? Lots of people, some of my most powerful weavers join up and they go, I don't even really know what weaving is, but I know I need to become an energy weaver. I just know it, like, okay? If that's you, then please reach out, right? Because my guess is this is hands down not your first lifetime as an energy weaver. Now, it may not have expressed itself in that exact format in a previous lifetime, but energy weaving has been buried through ancient mystery schools, through Druidic traditions, through covens, kind of got suppressed and went underground through there, all those eras and years, of course, we know why. But my point is, you're probably going to feel like energy weaving is a homecoming, is a remembrance, is a return to a lineage and a sisterhood that you remember somewhere in your heart, somewhere in your spirit, okay? Because that's really common. So if that is you, I would love to have you in circle with me. I would love to mentor you in weaving. It is not some sort of mass training. It is not learn this sort of ABC process and then work out how to apply it, right? This is me working with you every step of the way, attuning it, helping you apply it to your energy body, your life, your goals, your professional work, your practice, all of that, right? And so I would love to walk with you on that journey. Okay, my love, this is longer than I wanted, but I hope it was helpful, and I look forward to hearing from you in the future. Mwah.